The outbreak of the Syrian conflict. Israel has used Turkish military bases for its strikes against Syria. Now, this is according to RT sources. A moment ago, I spoke to our Middle East correspondent, Paula Sleer, for the latest.
RT sources tell us that Israel used Turkish military bases to launch attacks inside Syria. Now, these allegations refer to one of the Israeli attacks, but the latest attack was carried out in early July when there was a pre-dawn strike on the Syrian city of Latakia that allegedly targeted Russian-made Yakout anti-ship missiles. U.S. officials, speaking on condition of anonymity, say that this attack on this weapons depot was in all likelihood an Israeli airstrike. It happened not far from a Russian base, and there is suspicion from many quarters that Israeli fighter jets were responsible. A number of Syrian troops were killed and wounded in those explosions. No one has officially come forward and claimed responsibility for the attack. RT requested a reaction from the Israeli government, but the government declined to comment. What is important is that the attack, from the reports we have from our sources here in RT, originated on the Turkish side of the border. Our sources telling us that Israeli planes left a military base inside Turkey and approached Latakia from the sea to make sure that they stayed out of Syrian airspace so that they could not become a legitimate target for the Syrian Air Force. This, if true, is yet another brazen Israeli attack on a foreign country without any declaration of war. Israel and Turkey have not been the best of friends in recent years. We had the flotilla incident back in 2010 in which 9 people were killed. That was condemned internationally, and although there were conflicting reports as to exactly what happened, Israel never stepped forward with an apology until March. And when Israel did apologize, Turkey accepted the apology. There was a lot of fanfare and international coverage made over that, but it was really surprising because the two countries were really at odds. At the time, Turkey recalled its ambassador, it suspended ties with Israel, and what we see now is a sudden change of heart in Turkey towards Israel. This is a very unusual regional development because you have both regional powers who looked at odds with each other, and then we have this recent information about cooperation of an attack inside Syria. Now, it might be a real surprise for many of our viewers how deeply embedded Israel and Turkey at one stage were. The two countries had very close relations in the 1990s, particularly military cooperation. All of that deteriorated after the flotilla incident. There can now be legitimate questions asked about the sincere motivation for the apology that Israel gave over that flotilla incident. Questions need to be asked how and why an Islamic country like Turkey is allowing its arch-enemy Israel to use Turkish bases to bomb another Muslim nation. And no doubt there is going to be massive fallout for Turkey because of this cooperation with Israel.
So if this month's Latakia strike proves to be an Israeli Defense Force operation, it could become the country's 4th attack against Syria in 6 months, as Paula was just saying. Let's take a look back now at some of the previous air raids. A military compound just outside Damascus was bombed from the air on January the 31st, 2013. A second similar operation reportedly happened on May the 3rd. That's when rockets struck a warehouse at Damascus International Airport, allegedly containing surface-to-air missiles. Now, just 2 days later, massive blasts that were described as earthquake-like shook the same military base that was targeted in January. Now, on all occasions, the attacks were justified as operations to wipe out Iranian missiles bound for Hezbollah. But Middle East expert and historian Tariq Ali says Israel is just looking to get square with Hezbollah by putting a chokehold on the Syrian regime.
Israel's motivation, as always, to show the Arabs, both inside Israel and outside, look, this is how tough we are. We can hit any target in the Middle East that we want, and no one can do anything about it. This is a country which is above the law, or considers itself above the law, and its United States masters and its European friends will do nothing to stop it. I have very little doubt that the Israelis informed the United States that they were going to attack Latakia. Hezbollah is like a Red Bull. to the Israelis. And the Israelis haven't been able to wipe it out, though they've tried many a time. They're now hoping that they can do it by completely weakening or destroying the Syrian regime. The Syrian state could break up or be completely destroyed. So they're not unaware of what is happening in that country. And indirectly, I would say, yes, they are providing help to the rebels.
Now, Turkey and Israel have been at loggerheads since the 2010 commando raid on a Turkish humanitarian aid flotilla, which certainly sparked fury from Ankara. At the time, the Turkish Prime Minister Recep Erdogan accused Israel of carrying out a massacre, saying Tel Aviv would not be able to wash the blood off its hands. Now, Turkish outrage was echoed by a UN Human Rights Council report slamming Israeli troops for breaching international law and using an unacceptable level of brutality. Well, in 2012, a trial in absentia began of 4 former Israeli commandos on charges of inciting murder through cruelty and torture. However, on March 22nd this year, all legal action came to an unexpected and abrupt halt after Benjamin Netanyahu and Erdogan spoke on the phone, with the Israeli Prime Minister expressing regret for the loss of Turkish life. Now, Turkey's, of course, been a key player in the Syrian conflict over the past 2 years. Once strong allies, Ankara and Damascus fell out when the Syrian unrest began, as Turkey sided with the opposition and called on President Assad to step down. Ankara maintains what's been described as an open-door policy towards its Arab neighbour. Now, around 400,000 refugees have fled across the border into Turkey, most of them settling down in what's become known as a buffer zone. And meanwhile, Ankara has been facilitating the transfer of weapons and equipment to Syrian rebels, with arms allegedly coming in from US allies all across the region. Rebel fighters and mercenaries have also been granted safe passage both ways across the border. And Turkey has given key Syrian political and military figures a platform for plotting their strategy against the Syrian government. Now, the cross-border tension has seen several exchanges of mortar and artillery fire. One of the sharpest escalations came when Syria shot down a Turkish reconnaissance plane just a year ago. Do stay with RT for more updates on this breaking news story throughout the day.